Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
This episode of the Steve Austin Show is brought to you free today by our friends at BetOnline.ag. The end of August is wild when it comes to sports action. With the Major League Baseball playoff race heating up, the UFC and an NFL season just about to start, it's time to try your hand at winning some cash. Get in the mix at BetOnline.ag and use promo code PodcastOne for your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. Why I'm coming to you from the Broken Skull Ranch 2.0 out here in Nevada. And I'll tell you what, man, it has been hot, real hot, like in the mid-90s, high 90s. I ain't going to say it's hotter than hell because that would define South Texas at the Broken Skull Ranch. This has been extremely hot, though, because I didn't expect it to be this hot in Nevada. Here's the thing, though, I think is the difference. We're at almost 5,000 feet altitude. So I think by being about a mile closer to the sun makes a hell of a lot of difference. I feel like an ant on a sidewalk and some kid is holding a magnifying glass over me and magnifying the sun's rays all over my damn skin. I'm covered up with UVA, UVB sunblock. I'm wearing long sleeve dry fit shirts. I got a gaiter on. I'm wearing my hat. I got sunblock on my ears, my nose, everywhere you can put it where my skin is exposed. Hell, I didn't know it was going to be this damn hot and sunny out here. I am ready for winter to come out here so it'll start cooling off. Well, hell, then I'll start bitching about how cold it gets because my body, after all the beatings it's taken, don't really respond too well to extremely cold weather. But what I like about Nevada is a whole lot to like about. All the public land, all the places I can ride my mules, my Terex, my four-wheelers, all that freedom out there, the hunting, just the great outdoors. Man, I get on one of my buggies, I take off, and in 2 miles, I have access to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of acres. So as much as I'll complain a little bit about the heat, but it doesn't last long, and those cold winters, but it's awesome out here, and I think we made a great decision in coming to this area. But nonetheless, I digress. Let me talk about the show today, and then I'll start BSing with you again and tell you what I've been up to, because I've been up to a lot. My guest today on the show is my good friend Lilian Garcia. Now, Lily and I ran into each other at the Raw reunion a couple of weeks ago in Tampa, Florida. And, man, we sat there and shot the breeze, before the show. After the show, she was over at the bar. We had a couple of beers together and just talked for about an hour, talking podcast business, talking wrestling business, life business, all kinds of stuff. And I said, man, when we get back to L.A., when you get settled in and I get settled in, come over, let's do a podcast together. We'll talk about our thoughts on the Raw reunion and anything else. And she says, sounds good to me. So Lilian finally found some time in her busy schedule to come by. And Lilian has been kicking ass. She just recently, a couple of weeks ago, celebrated her 100th episode of Chasing Glory, her badass podcast. And I tell you what, this ain't blowing smoke. This is the real deal. Lilian's an outstanding podcast host. She does her homework like it's nobody's business. She's easy to talk to, and she forms this immediate chemistry with her guests. So check out her podcast. It's on all major podcast platforms. It's called Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia. It's awesome. So anyway, we decided we'd talk about the Raw reunion. We'd talk about all kinds of stuff. And I was doing a little bit of research on Lilian just to see, hey, man, is there something else we can talk about? And there was. I never knew in all my years of knowing Lilian, I was looking on her Instagram account, that she suffered from an eating disorder. So before we started talking, I said, hey, man, is this something you'd want to talk about? Because I don't want to just ask you this question and make you uncomfortable. And she goes, oh, no, Steve. She goes, I'd love to talk about it because I'd like to be able to help out anybody that I can help out who was in the same shoes that I was. So anyway, there's all kinds of pictures of Lilian on her Instagram account. She does all kinds of different workouts. She's roller skating. She's riding bicycles. She's doing kettlebells. She does everything. So just never in a million years, I just never figured that Lilian had an eating disorder. Coming from an Army background, she was an Army brat, bounced around all over the place. And I guess Why would I know? How would I know? Anyway, we talk about that. And Lilian offers some great advice to people that are in the same shoes that she's in. So I asked her, hey, man, what should someone in the same position as you or you were did? And this was Lilian back when she was in her early 20s, in her college days. So I know a few people out there who have eating disorders. And if you have one and you're listening to my show, check out Lilian's advice, and maybe it can help you out. Lilian is extremely open and candid, and I love talking to her. So enjoy that part of the podcast. But before we get to Lilian, last night on Straight Up Steve Austin, this past Monday, I had Baker Mayfield, Heisman Trophy winner from Oklahoma University, first pick of the NFL draft, Baker Mayfield, Cleveland Browns quarterback. God dang it, I had a blast hanging out with that young man. That kid, at 24, 25 years of age, has got a way better head on his shoulders than I did at the same age. Kid is extremely composed. He's very confident, and he's a gamer. I had a blast with him, and I think the utmost of him. And his parents did a hell of a job in bringing that kid up, and he's done all of the work himself. Nothing was ever handed to this guy. He has had to work his ass off for every single thing he's got. So I'm looking forward to seeing, this is my favorite time of the year, man. College football's kicking off, NFL's kicking off, and Saturday and Sunday, then Monday night and then Thursday night, I ain't worth a damn because I'm watching football. So I wish Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns the best. Had a great time meeting Coach Freddie Kitchens, dudes from Alabama. I never met anybody from Alabama that couldn't tell a story. We couldn't include all the stories on the Straight Up Steve Austin episode, but I'll tell you what, man, that's a great organization. Good things are on the horizon for them. Wish you nothing but the best. If you haven't seen Straight Up Steve Austin yet, we're on the USA Network every single Monday night after WWE Raw, 11/10 Central. Set your DVRs, and you're really going to want to set your DVRs and tune in. If you haven't before, my guest next week is none other than the man, Becky Lynch. That's right, I said the man, Becky Lynch, is going to be on Straight Up Steve Austin next week. And I tell you what, I'm having so much fun making this show, and I'm learning a lot, but I had an absolute blast hanging out with Becky Lynch. Man, just talking to her while the cameras are rolling, a lot of that you're going to see, but just hanging out with her and talking about the business and seeing where she's come from and how far she's gone. And I just think the world of that young lady, and obviously the rest of the world does too, because she's basically the hottest thing on 2 feet in the sport of professional wrestling / sports entertainment, man or woman. She is the man, and she's still on fire. So I had a great time, and you will not want to miss this episode because we had an absolute frickin' blast. Last but not least, it has just been announced. I will be making my comeback after a 20-year absence. A 20-year absence. September 9th, 2019, Monday Night Raw. WWE, Stone Cold Steve Austin will be back, making his return to the most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden. I cannot believe it has been 20 years since I've been to Madison Square Garden. I've got so many memories of working in that building. It's a short entrance from the back to where the ring's out there in the middle of the arena. I remember hiding behind that blue curtain, watching all the matches, sometimes with Vince, getting knowledge from him, listening to what he's got to say about some of the matches. One of my proudest moments in my WWE career, WWF back in the day, walking out to Madison Square Garden with the one and only Howard Finkel announcing my name from Victoria, Texas. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Here's the thing, man. It's going back old school. And my podcast is with Lilian Garcia. She took over for Howard. But this was old school. Howard's been with that organization forever. To hear him call out my name in the garden, I knew I had arrived. That's how much that meant to me. And I was looking back at some of the dates, some of the things that happened there. Going back to November 17th, 1996, Survivor Series. Bret the Hitman Hart was making a comeback from getting some cleanup done on one of his knees. and he handpicked none other than myself, Stone Cold Steve Austin, for his return match. And Brett got the best of me that night, and I'll never forget it. And we formed a chemistry and a bond that night in that ring, and everybody knows how much I respect Bret Hart. Everybody knows how much Bret Hart has meant to the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it goes back to one special night, November 17, 1996. And then a little bit after that, September 22nd, 1997, there in the Garden. Hey, man, I was running through some neck problems. They were trying to keep me out of the ring. Vince McMahon finally calls me to the ring, tries to settle me down. Hey, man, we just care about you. Hell, I said, whatever I said, you can basically kiss my ass. And I gave Vince McMahon, the owner of the company, who had really kind of just started coming out as being the owner. He had been always this behind-the-scenes guy. We pulled him out and gave him the first Stone Cold Stunner. And that stunner was the one that was heard around the world and shifted the tide in the Monday Night Wars. And I'll never forget that. And that was a rough stunner because Vince ain't the most coordinated guy in the world. And almost slipped out, but we nailed it. And the crowd went absolute batshit crazy. And Vince did that. I call it a crappie. A crappie is a type of fish. Like you put a fish on a pier and they just flop around. It was that old school flop sail. I loved it. And he had his eyes open. It was one of the best things I'd ever seen in my life. So we lit him up there on September 22nd, 1997. And that was, the kind of that whole real start of Austin versus McMahon, which lasted for over 2 years and was water cooler talk all over the world. And I can't say, well, I can say, I can tell you how much Vince McMahon meant to my career, just like I just told you Bret Hart meant a lot to my career. Vince McMahon versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, the owner. That guy, his passion for the business, the way he reflected what I was given and what I reflected what he was given, we were two peas in a pod out there. It was love versus hate, hate versus love, boss versus employee. And I was having so much fun feuding with Vince. He was having a blast feuding with me because he was out there performing, not just promoting and running the entire ball of wax, but he's out there performing, being a central focus of the show and main eventing pay-per-views with me. So it all started in the Garden. I can't forget, August 3rd, 1998, Undertaker at SummerSlam, Highway to Hell. I'll never forget, we needed a name for that pay-per-view. And, man, I was big into AC/DC. And, because of the Undertaker's gimmick, because of my gimmick, it was these two forces clashing. I said, man, what about Highway to Hell? And they made these badass posters. They licensed the Highway to Hell song from AC/DC. And they made all those badass videos. And there we were, Undertaker and myself, in a sold-out Madison Square Garden. Once again, it all comes back to the Garden. And we're out there, and Undertaker goes for a backdrop as I'm hitting the ropes, and I kick him in the chest as hard as I can, and he straightens up, and the back of his head hits me right underneath my chin, and bam, it flashes me. I go down. That's the first time I'd ever been knocked out in my life. And I've told this story before, and I'll tell you again. Earl Hebner was a referee. It happened so fast, and then we were all of a sudden back in action. I'm laying there on the mat. We got a whole match to go. Earl Hebner looks at me and goes, God damn it, boy, you okay? I said, where am I at? He goes, God damn it, boy, you at the Garden. So I love Earl Hebner. He's one of my favorite referees of all time. And I love working with Undertaker. But we had a hard time in that match because when you're out on your feet and you get flashed like that, or if you get knocked out like that, that's why I got so much respect for these fighters when they're trying to come back from a knockout. I got through the rest of the match, but I don't remember doing the rest of the match. I do remember laying on that table in Madison Square Garden when Undertaker was on the top turnbuckle and he dropped that leg on me. But anyway, I digress. I'm going back to Madison Square Garden after 20 years. One of my favorite all-time buildings to perform. Everybody knows the Chicago Rosemount Horizon is my favorite because of the acoustics. But you go to the Garden, everybody wants to play the Garden because of how special it is. And that's a tough crowd. If you can get over in the Garden, you can get over anywhere because those people have seen the best, they've watched the best, they've heard the best. That's a tough crowd, but they're a loyal crowd. Once you get over in the Garden, you stay over in the Garden. Those some badass fans. So anyway, I'm looking forward to getting back to New York City, Manhattan, Madison Square Garden, September 9th, 2019. If you're there, I'll see you there, and I can guarantee you this. I'm bringing plenty of ice-cold Broken Skull IPA, and that's the bottom line because I said so. Without any further ado, let's get into my conversation with my special guest and one of my very close friends, host of Chasing Glory, her own podcast, Lilian Garcia. As we wrap up the summer and head into the fall, it's all about the return of football. Not only is the NFL a week away from the start of the season, but there are already some huge matchups in college football. Check it out. This weekend, we've got Utah versus BYU, Colorado State versus University of Colorado, University of Houston against Oklahoma, and a certified barn burner with Oregon taking on Auburn. There's only one place that has you covered and one place we trust, betonline.ag. Sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne. Or text BET NOW to 238-669 to receive a 50% welcome bonus. That's betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partners of PodcastOne Sportsnet. What you do in the bedroom is totally up to you and your partner or partners. But if you're not using Trojan brand condoms, you're missing out on a safe and enjoyable experience. Protect yourself from STIs and unintended pregnancy with Trojan condoms. You don't think of condoms without thinking about Trojan, and with over 30 different varieties, there's a lot to choose from. You see how people pick out their condoms at the store. They grab a random box and head to the checkout like a sorry SOB. Well, those days are over. Confidently walk into that store, grab a pack of Trojan condoms, and march up to that register with your head held high. Buying condoms shouldn't be this awkward because it's important. 20 million Americans contract an STI each year, and half are younger than 25. That's why you should go with the number one most trusted condom brand on the market. And it doesn't matter if you're 2 months or 2 years into your relationship. Trojan condoms will be there every step of the way. Now go get your Trojan brand condoms today.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, I've got one of my favorite human beings in the world, Lilian Garcia, sitting right in front of me at 316 Gimmick Street. How are you? It's good to see you.
Hey, I'm good. Woo!
We said we were going to do this at Raw Reunion in Tampa, and we both survived.
I'm so excited that we got that moment of chugging beers.
How was that for you? Well, I want to get to that because there's a story behind that when you and you approached me and said, hey, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So you got a phone call, and they said, hey, man, we're going to do this big Raw reunion. I got the same phone call. So what were your thoughts as you headed down there? Or did you say, hey, this is a great idea, I'm all in?
Well, I'm always all in.
Yep.
Anytime they ask me to come in, to me, it's just fun because I get to see the family, right? Because WWE is a family. And then also the fans. It's always important with the fans to be able to bond with them again. So immediately I said yes, and then I was very excited when I kept hearing who all was coming, and then I heard you're coming, and Melina and Jillian. I haven't seen her in forever, and so it was just really good to see her.
I meant to talk to Jillian because I was bombarded by a lot of people, but I wanted to catch up with her because she's not a person that I really know, but I really liked what she did when she was around, and then she was gone.
Yes.
What is she doing now?
Well, I think, you know what? I'm not really sure what she's doing at the current moment. I know that she was so happy to be there, genuinely so happy. And she said to me, she goes it's been forever. I think her and Melina, it was either 7 or 9 years or something. So she's like, man, to be back here and to see everybody. She looked exactly the same. Exactly. I was amazed.
She looked beautiful.
Yeah. So I know that she was really just genuinely emotional about being there.
Man, I had a blast. I think the look you had on your face as you were describing it was just the same as I'm trying to describe right now. because it was all about a family reunion.
Yeah.
And on one hand, you say, oh, that's cliche, or that's, marketing speak, or whatever.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, it really is. These are people that you spend so much time with, right? Like on the road, and the experiences that you have, and just it's one of those things that you're growing up on the road too. And and you go through so much, especially because it's not and I'm sure people in the offices get close too, but there's something about being on the road and seeing you in this town and that town, and then what happens in between, and then, just the dramas and stuff. So when you have that, I think it was Santino Marella, we were talking when he was on my podcast, and I said, it really is like, if I saw you somewhere, if I saw you in a CVS out of the blue, I would run up to you and hug you like you're my brother.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. I can't remember when the last time we talked was, and because I don't remember shit anyway, I can't remember everything that we've talked about.
Yeah.
But what year did you first start with WWE?
Do you know that, Steve, this month, August, is my 20-year anniversary?
Golly. Can you believe
1999, 20 years.
Okay, but when did you step away? Because I officially retired in like 2003,
Yeah.
so I've been gone forever, and then you were still around, so...
Yeah. So I started in 99, then I left in 2009, so 10 years later, and then I came back at the end of 2011, or I think it was the end of 2010, something like that. I came back 2 years later. Yeah, 2011. So then I left, final left in 2016. So I was there a total of full-time 15 years, on and off 20,
So, man, it was interesting for me walking back in, because it's like, I don't know, man, that's my home.
Yeah.
And I had to leave, and I didn't want to leave.
Right.
And I had to leave at 38 years of age.
Yeah.
I mean, God dang, there was so many matches and money left on the table. And the fact that I had to pull a plug on myself. I was recently talking to, Dale Earnhardt Jr. on my show, Straight Up Steve Austin. I'm just trying to plug my show. But
no, but I watched it the other day. It was so good.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Man, I'm having a blast.
Good.
I'm learning a whole bunch while we're doing it, but I'm laughing my ass off while I'm learning.
No, it's great.
So, but I was talking to Dale Jr., and, he had a lot of concussions from being in car wrecks and stuff like that. And he wanted someone to, say, hey, man, you need to stop.
Yeah.
But the doctors wouldn't tell him that. And the same thing with me is like, the doctors, I probably could have kept going on, but it was like me looking at where I was at right then, pulling the plug on myself. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do.
Yeah.
And it took me 3 years of, man, I was doing a lot of crazy stuff to occupy those 3 years and not making the best decisions to be able to finally come to grips with it and to go back. And I know,
it's a transition.
Oh, yeah, it was a hard transition, because it seems like I was no different than anybody else, because I didn't have an exit strategy. And I would always look back at some of the guys, and I was like, man, why didn't they plan better than that? And I look at myself in the mirror and like, well, I didn't have any plans for it either.
Right.
But after 3 years, I finally, got up and said, hey, man, the things you're doing right now aren't conducive to a long lifestyle or a long life. And so I kind of curtailed some of the things that I was doing. And that's when I brought my ass out here to Los Angeles and lived with Diamond Dallas Page for about 6 months, a year, whatever it was.
Oh, you did too? God, so many people have done that with him.
Oh, man, Dallas is like... If you ever need some place to live to get your shit together, go to DDP's place.
That's amazing.
He wasn't holding me accountable for anything, with his crib, because he's helped, and specifically, and everybody knows who's helped Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall, and really, literally, probably tens of thousands of other people along the way with this program. But anyway, I digress. For me, going back, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was in a meeting, and we were talking about wrestling. And like in my life, I'm passionate about many things, but professional wrestling, or the business, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, is one of the things that is like, it's number one or 1A.
Yeah.
And so going back to go back and be around the guys and girls is cool, because it's like, someone will come up to you and say, hey, man, you got any advice for me here? And depending on where they're at, whether they're a year in the business, 3 years, 7 years, it's like going to college, where 101, 201, 301 level, you're dropping that kind of information on them, because if you try to drop some scientific shit on someone who's not ready for that, it's in one ear and not the other because they can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
So it was cool to go back and do that, but it's just cool to see the kids and the boys. When I say that, I mean the guys and gals, all doing, what we did. So what are your thoughts? And I'm talking about it from a work standpoint in the ring, and all the guys and all the gals, I know you and Trish are really close.
I just was at
you
her.
You formed so many friendships. I know, I want to talk about that. But for you, what's it like to go back and see the people that are doing the things that you're doing?
Yeah, that's the thing is, going back and being among that and just the camaraderie, it does give you a sense of, damn, I wish I was still here. It does. And then you start thinking about all the hours on the road and all that kind of stuff, right? And the flights and stuff. And you go, well, maybe not 52 weeks a year. That's the thing, right? Is the balance. But it really is nice when you do see everybody, you get to catch up with them and all. And I think that's why when WWE asks me anytime, I'm like, yeah, sure. Because when I get glimpses like this, it fills that void.
Right.
So it's cool with me. Yeah.
But I gotta, I'm not going to get there yet, but there's a big void that has been filled.
Yes.
But now I'm going to digress again. Happy effing birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Belated. I'm
It's
3 days late or 4 days late. How late am I?
No. It was on the 19th. We're
Am
good.
I allowed to ask you how old you are?
I'm 53 and I'm proud of it.
Gosh, you're just 1 year behind me.
There you go.
You look like 10 years younger than me.
Thank you. No.
You're
Steve,
way-
you look great. No. But you know what? This is actually a platform that I'm embracing in the fact that I want people to stop feeling like they're prisoners to their age and feeling so bad about birthdays. First of all, birthdays are not guaranteed. So when you don't look forward to a birthday, you're really that's disrespecting something that's not guaranteed, right? Imagine all those people, for example, I don't want to bring it downer, but think about the people that got shot. And that, that died. They didn't get to their next birthday. It's really sad. So that's why I tell people, man, celebrate it. Celebrate it huge. That and the fact that with age, again, I've, learned so much in my life. I wouldn't go back, no offense, but I wouldn't go back to my 20s for nothing. I was a lost cat. I was, there were so many things that I just wouldn't go back for those reasons. But I always said, and you know who it was that turned this around for me? I went to Roddy Piper's funeral. When I was there, and somebody in his family had said that he was, I think he was 61 or 62, and he didn't want anybody to know his age because he felt like the fans wouldn't love him anymore. That made me so sad because, of course, the fans are going to love him.
Right.
They don't care. It was Roddy. It was amazing. It was full of life and spirit. And you saw him and he just gave you a huge hug and he was full of love, right? So, of course, you're going to love him. But I was thinking to myself, my God, the first thing that I heard people say when he died was, oh, my God, how young. That was the first thing that people said. So, Steve, when I hear people say young at 61, so yeah, he was young at 61. So that's the way I say now at 53. If I would be considered young dead, I am more than young alive. That's the way I live it.
Never heard it said like that.
But if you died tomorrow, Steve, they would be like, oh my God, how young. So stop calling yourself old. If you do call yourself old,
I
forget
ain't
it.
calling myself old. I mean, sometimes I'll wake up and things aren't feeling so good. But I mean, man, for the most part,
But that's because you're wrestling too.
But you know what? I'll always ask the guys. Like I was just with Hogan, and I said, "Man, I said, how you feeling?"
Yeah.
Because he's about 9 years older than me, and I'll kind of like the 5-year guys, the 10-year guys, like half generation, next generation, because I know that's where I'm headed, probably,
right.
But then I talked to Flair. Other than his health problems that he had that were just whatever, not caused by being bumped in the ring, he feels like $1 million. So everybody wears it differently. But when I think now, when I'm talking to some of these kids and I'm giving them advice, which I consider pretty damn good advice,
very good,
or if I'm talking to someone about life, that I feel like it's pretty good advice.
Yeah.
Because, man,
you've been through it.
I've screwed up a whole lot.
Exactly.
I've learned from it.
Yes.
And it took me a bunch of screw-ups to learn it, but now I can pass down. They always say, hey, respect your elders. Because your elders have been around long enough to weather so many storms that, by and large, don't get me wrong, there's still some stupid old people. But
it
there's
doesn't mean like
there's some wise old people, and you can really damn near learn something from anybody.
Right.
If not, what not to do.
I also think it's ridiculous to kind of discriminate something that if you live long enough, you will be there. So why are you going to discriminate against an older person when, again, if you don't die, because that's the only alternative, if you don't die, you will be there. So I just think the more we talk about it, the less we feel like we have to hide. Look at like what's happened with even the LGBT community, right? Hopefully I got all the letters because I know they keep adding. There we go. I forgot one. You know, they were feeling suppressed for a very long time, and then finally they're like, accept me, and then they're just out, right? So it's the same thing here. The more we lie about our age, the more we're acting like there's something wrong with it. So the more you're acting like something's wrong with it, there's less acceptance. And just freaking be proud. It just calculates how long you've been on Earth. That's it. Everyone ages differently. But I've been here on Earth for 53 years, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, but me and my wife got a running joke. Man, God dang, it's getting old sucks. You know, just because we remember the things. Oh, we see pictures when we first met 15 years ago.
Yeah,
We're
there's
like,
things
God
with
dang.
the looks. I know, and people are so obsessed, and they're doing so many things with their faces, and they're turning into monsters. For me, I feel like, yikes, I can't do it.
We got a picture. We're in Gold Coast, Australia. We're filming The Condemned, and this movie. Let me see it won. I got an Academy for Best Actor, Best Picture. I'm kidding you, Lil. The movie didn't win shit. The picture of my wife coming out of the green ocean like a goddess.
Yeah, yeah.
I showed her the picture. She goes, "What the f happened?" But anyway, so happy belated birthday.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me share that because I really hope that I've set some people free out there.
How many times have you been here now? Over 2 or 3 years now?
Yeah,
a couple
4 or
times?
5. I don't know.
And one of these days, I was always going to turn this place into a studio, and I ain't turning it into shit. It's still a 4x4 table with a stupid little Zoom recorder and my 2 microphones. And I'm saying this because I want to congratulate you. A few weeks ago, you had your 100th anniversary on Chasing Glory. And I was just going through some of your recent guests. You hustle so hard, Lil, and you got your damn studio over. Is that your crib?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And I really appreciate that you even sent a message. That was so nice. My husband had sent out messages, people going, please, can you send her a message? And sure enough, you replied. And that was a big surprise. So thank you.
Well, you're one of those people. It's like we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Of course, I hardly ever get to talk to your husband. And I never could talk to you. And we're just, it's like Becky Lynch lives right down the street.
I know.
We used to live right down the street because you moved.
Right.
So we used to be neighbors, but we never see each other just because we're always doing things.
Yeah.
So what did the milestone of 100 episodes mean to you now as you move in, looking to 200? Did you think it'd last this long?
You know what? It's a whole lot harder than people think. I will say that. When I hear somebody going, oh, I'm going to do a podcast, I want to laugh. Right? Because, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I had that. That was how it all started with me. Like, I want to do a podcast, right? But wow, I had no idea what all went into it.
Oh, but the thing about it is, I was just reading a podcast article that someone sent me, and I'll forward to you because it's very interesting.
Okay.
But there's just millions of them now.
Yes.
And I remember when I first started, I just wanted a voice because I'd left the WWE and I couldn't keep in touch with my fan base. And for a while, I was pretty blue as far as my material. Just total F-bombs, total gutter material, and just kind of road stuff for a guy. And then as you go along, I don't want to think I'm more responsible, but I try to not pick the low-hanging fruit and kind of keep it up here and do my research. I've always done my research.
Yeah,
but
you've always been great.
So it's not like I just want to get on a microphone and just start speaking because I want to tell the world what to do.
Right.
But I just wanted to keep in touch with my fan base.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind you saying, hey, I want to do this?
So 2004, I actually pitched an idea to Kevin Dunn. And I told him, I said, I'm working with these amazing women that have gone through a lot of things. Whether they were battling eating disorders or battling alcoholism or they've been abused or anything like that. Like I said to him, I was like, can I have a platform where I interview them? But it wasn't the right timing. There was no network, right? There was just the website. And this was before Total Divas. And then I think it was like the next year that they ended up doing Total Divas. Well, when I left in 2016, when my dad was sick and I was taking care of him, my dad literally looked at me and was like, Lil, you can't just watch me die here. Please do something. I feel so horrible that you're no longer with WWE and here you are watching me die. And it was just a really sad time, right? But I decided, I went, you know what? I want to take that idea and I want to do it not just on the women, but on everyone. And I just felt like these amazing superstars, including yourself, had incredible stories and backstories that the fans didn't know. And that's why I chose Chasing Glory into more of diving into a little deeper and a little bit more personal. How do you grow up, and less about what's your favorite match? And I think it's a perfect, there's many wrestling podcasts that have that need that, right? But with me, I just felt like I wanted to know more of the person. And what's happened with that has been something so beautiful. When you ask me about what does the 100th episode mean, it means the lives that have been saved. And when I say that because there's been hundreds of letters, Steve, that I've gotten that people are like, wow, I was literally about to give up. I was about to take my life because I'd been molested. But when I heard Mickie James talk about the fact that she'd been molested and how she got through it, and now she's, become a superstar, it gives me hope. When I hear Alexa Bliss, when I hear any of these guys, even Brian Kendrick talked about how his dad and how he was, his dad was so hard on him and how he was so full of anger. And he brought that. And you saw, if you knew Brian Kendrick at the beginning, you worked with him, you saw this anger. You didn't understand why. And then later on, when he left and then he came back, he was a different person. Well, he handled that anger with his dad. So it's that. It's what Chasing Glory has meant is the expanding the superstar into not just their superstars. It's real life people that have had real life things that have happened, but they've gone through it and how they continue to strive.
Yeah.
And that's why.
You may know them as this, and it seems like it's all easy, glitz and glamour, and that's the finished product. But along the way, here's what
I went through. Sting, when I had him on, the podcast, and he talked about how he was at the highest point of his career, and yet he was the most, empty in his life, and how he just wanted to give it up. And then he found God, and that's how he found Jesus and all, and he was born again, and what that meant to him. And just hearing people's, like I said, either whether it was during wrestling or just the struggle of what it was like growing up. And even hearing your story, Steve, you were so awesome. And I encourage everybody to please go back and listen to that episode, because you were so open and talked about how shy you were. Well, it was crazy, because even Seth Rollins then listened to your episode and he was shy, and he was like, it's like he gave me permission to say I was shy too. And you know what I'm saying? So it's a trickle effect.
Hell, I didn't know Seth Rollins was shy.
Totally shy guy, felt awkward. Same thing with Batista. They both came on. It was even after you, who said they were just felt like, Batista said, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would be like, it's okay to be awkward. It's okay to be shy. It's okay to, So that's what this platform has done, is given people that permission to talk about it now and be able to handle it better.
You're such a hustler with your podcast and such a hard worker. How do you go about booking your guests? Because I know you're probably a one-woman show, like I'm a one-man show over here. So how do you do that? How do you go about picking your guests?
Well, I'm trying not to be just wrestling because of PFL now with MMA. We'll talk about that.
That's one of the things I want to get to.
Wanted to get stories from different MMA guys. I just had Randy Couture on, and I know you and Randy did the movie together, and it was incredible. Within the first I'll get to how to book the guest, but I just have to say about Randy, within the first 3 minutes of that podcast, he spoke about, for the very first time ever, he found out like 2 months ago through the DNA testing that he's not really a Couture. His dad his Couture father was really not his father, but gave him his name. And he just found out that that's not his father. So it's one of these things that this platform is giving people like the opportunity to just like go, oh, this is what's going on in my life. This is what's happening. He goes, I don't want to hide. This is just what it is. And so now it's amazing, like what this is all uncovering. But I reach out to people individually. I really think methodically as to timing of people being on too. So I'll, like backstage, for example, I saw some people. Now I knew that backstage was going to be crazy that day, so I didn't plan ahead. But I was like, all right. I was looking around and I watched Takeover, for example, and I was so blown away with Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. But immediately I reached out to Adam Cole and I'm like, please, can I have you on? Sure enough, when I went to SummerSlam, we booked a time there.
He's a good kid.
He's amazing. And I just had him on this week, and he talked about, for the first time ever, he talked about how his parents were divorcing when he was 9 and how that just filled him with so much anger, and his dad became an alcoholic, and how he was able to endure all of that. So it's one of those things. I look at that, but I also am expanding. I've had wellness coaches on because I want to help people out there through their message. I've had other athletes, other entertainers. So we're just chasing glory, literally just about the chase for glory. So it can be anybody talking about the chase for glory, but I like to have celebrities on because I like for people to see that celebrities really do have real problems too, but can still make it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What happened? Did the Couture episode drop?
Oh, yeah.
How? Okay, people tune into that. Just give me a quick, long story short. How did he deal with that? Because that had to have been a tremendous blow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he said that it was hard. It was really hard at first. Like, he was like,
mind F.
What the heck? Who am I?
Yeah.
Right? He talks about it in the episode. It's very intriguing. A fan came up to him years ago to tell him, hey, I'm your cousin. And this, and gave him all, and he was like, yeah, whatever, right? A fan, right? But then she started divulging all this information about his family that he was like, wait, how would she know this? And then she's the one that basically told him, this is not your dad. And then he confronted his mom, and his mom's like, no, that's your dad. And so it wasn't until he got the DNA test that it was confirmed. And he's just like trying to wrap his head around it. But here's the kicker. His whole life, he tried to make this man, his father, Couture, he would never pay attention to him. His father never paid attention to him. He tried to get his, we're saying that him to come to see him and his approval. He was trying to seek his dad's approval, and his dad wouldn't come and would come. Well, his dad knew all along it wasn't his kid, right? So what I told Randy was, I said, look, the silver lining from this whole thing is that you can see that your dad, he didn't pay attention to you, not because of you and who you were, right? It wasn't anything you did. It was just that he knew that you weren't his real kid.
Right.
So that was it. So now you can take that whole weight off of you, that it wasn't anything that you did right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. He would have never paid attention to you ever. And so, but he did say that because of what happened, because his dad was not paying attention to him, he ended up choosing sports and this, and he goes, all right, well, then I'm going to be better at this, and maybe I can get his attention this way, and maybe that way. And so he became really, really good at things and started going for MMA and all of that to seek his dad's approval. So maybe Randy wouldn't have been Randy, the Randy that we know, the MMA fighter with all these accomplishments, had he not had that fire of trying to get his dad's approval behind him. Imagine that.
What a laid-back guy that guy is. I mean, I've only had a few conversations with him. We were filming Expendables, and we were always sitting in a director's chair, and unfortunately, he was sitting beside me, and I'm like an MMA fanatic. We're getting to your next gig here.
Yeah.
And so I'm just chewing his ear off. And, it's like the guy that's sitting next to me that wants to keep talking about pro wrestling, which I don't mind.
Right.
I was that guy for him. And then I got a chance to fight him. And it was like, dude was gentle as a lamb. You never know. And he's one of the most fierce competitors in the history of the Octagon. So
history.
Anyway, but he's a really cool guy. Have you ever taken one of those DNA tests?
Yes.
Did you find out anything about yourself that you didn't know?
I found out that it solidified the fact that I can't do coffee very well. I literally was just drinking coffee, and I'm like, why do I feel worse? Why do I feel worse drinking coffee? Yeah. And then I found out through the DNA test that I don't tolerate coffee well at all. And so now. So
you took the extended background one. I
did. I did
wanted
the medical
to find out
one.
where I was from. So you took some of the traits.
I did the medical.
Okay.
Yep. And so
some things to look for, markers.
For sure.
Okay.
And it's wild because there's other things that it brought up that I'm like, that totally makes sense. And this totally makes sense. So I think it's legit. And it did confirm that I am from the whole Spanish region and I am Latina, and it confirmed all of that for sure. But,
man, I found out that was like 63% English, 23% Irish, and just a couple of, whatever the rest of the percentages was. But it said I was a 100% fucking idiot.
Good one. Good one.
Now I tapped out, and that's my only F-bomb. I don't really drop F-bombs on the show anymore. Sean let that one fly. I didn't want to do the markers just because, hey man, I'm like that guy. If I have a certain kind of ache, I'm that guy on the computer. And it's automatically worst case scenario. I'll call my buddy. One of my best friends is my doctor, has been forever. And I'll say, Jimmy, tell me I'm not dying here. So anyway, I didn't want to do the markers just because, well, first of all, man, I'm solid.
Yeah.
And I just, hey, man, I'm just going to take my chances. I want to find out where I'm from, but that was enough for me.
Make sure to stick around after this podcast to get the latest headlines from the AP News Minute.
When it comes to pain, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? After years of taking bumps in the ring, I've had my fill of aches and pains that still linger to this day. Now, most days are pretty good. I'm usually at about a 1, but some days can get a little bit rough, and those are times when I need a little bit of relief. Well, check it out. My guys at BioWave set me up with their BioWave GO device. This gimmick uses patented high-frequency neural stimulation pain-blocking technology that delivers therapeutic electrical signals through the skin into deep tissue right to the surface of pain fibers. Now, if you didn't catch all that, basically what I'm saying is the BioWave GO blocks that pain deep at the nerve for up to 24 hours from just one 30-minute treatment. This is different than the old-school TENS units as it goes above and beyond, and the results last longer. I've been using my BioWave GO on my back and neck every now and then, and what I can tell you is it is the real deal. BioWave GO is 100% drug-free pain relief, FDA cleared, and currently used by professional sports teams in the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, and NCAA programs. So give the Heisman stiff arm to all those smelly creams and other pain relief gimmicks. It's time to step it up and use what the pros use. Learn more at BioWaveGo.com. And if you're on board, and you should be, try BioWave GO with the no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee plus free shipping. Again, that's BioWaveGo.com, BioWaveGo.com. Check it out today and start living a fuller, pain-free life because I said so. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. You could get in a crash, people could get hurt or killed. But let's take a moment to look at some surprising statistics. Almost 29 people in the United States die every day in alcohol-impaired vehicle crashes. That's one person every 50 minutes. Even though drunk driving fatalities have fallen by a third in the last 3 decades, drunk driving crashes still claim more than 10,000 lives each year. Drunk driving can have a big impact on your wallet, too. You can get arrested and incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. So what can you do to prevent drunk driving? Plan a safe ride home before you start drinking, designate a sober driver or call a taxi, and if someone you know has been drinking, take their keys and arrange for them to get a sober ride home. We all know the consequences of driving drunk, but one thing's for sure, you're wrong if you think it's no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Football season is around the corner, and PodcastOne Sportsnet has the best shows to help you build the best fantasy team in the league.
You can do it!
Break down all of the latest NFL news on Pro Football Focus Fantasy Football Podcast, then serve up some picks with Ross Tucker's Fantasy Feast.
Honestly, I think it's ridiculous in real life, let alone ridiculous in fantasy football.
Take a spin with the Fantasy Record or rise above with the Underdog Sports Fantasy Hour.
Just when you think this guy's going to come into a season fully healthy, it looks like he may not.
Dominate the competition and download new episodes of these shows and more every week on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
I was thinking about our conversation, and I got on your Instagram page, and I saw you, man, you had a kettlebell You've been doing lots of swimming, or you've been on beaches. You're in fantastic shape.
Thank you.
And I see you doing all these workout things.
Yes.
And then I'm thinking, okay, what does Lil do? She's doing a little bit of everything. You're roller skating with your dog, Kobe.
Yeah.
And he's not on a leash. Where was that?
That was right here, then Marina Del Rey, on the beach.
Did you get crushed by a car? I mean, because most of the time you got to keep them on a leash.
No, it's at the boardwalk on the beach.
Okay,
Yeah.
but he's cool.
He's cool. He's
Okay,
good.
but
He's
you're
all
doing
good.
all these outdoor activities. And then I came upon this one picture of you in Hawaii.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful picture of you in a bikini.
Thank you.
And I read the caption, and it's about 2 or 3, 4 paragraphs. And you're talking about your eating disorder that you used to have.
Yes.
And I'm like, I never knew that about you, because why would I?
Right.
And I just figured, man, here's this beautiful statuesque. I never knew how you stayed in shape, but I just thought you just had this great genetics and you were a beautiful lady.
Thank you.
And then, I read that you had anorexia and bulimia.
Not anorexia, bulimia.
So,
bulimia, yeah.
I'm sorry. What's the difference?
So anorexia is when you don't want to eat.
Okay.
Bulimia is when you eat, but then you purge.
Okay.
All right. So so I didn't have any weight issues at all growing up. And then I hit college and that was it. It's like my metabolism changed and I started gaining and I didn't know what to do. I never had been on a diet ever. So I was eating everything under the sun. So all of a sudden I'm like, well, I don't know how to eat. So I was thinking that I was eating good, right? But I kept gaining and not knowing anything about food whatsoever. And so it was then that I found out through friends, right? It's always people that will tell you, well, you can just eat and purge and you can just stay in shape. And so I was like, oh, okay, it's that easy. And so that's what I ended up doing. Well, it became where it took over me. Like, of course, at first you think, oh, yeah, I've got control. I can just do this every now and then. It's fine, All of a sudden, my hair starts falling out. My teeth start going gray. Like, they will start going clear. It's really weird. I started getting heartburn, of course, because you got all that acids coming up. So my singing voice is starting to suffer. Hello. And then I'll never forget the day that I finally went and got help, that I was like, okay, this is over me. I need something. Was when I went from place to place. I would go to like 7-Eleven. I would buy a bunch of donuts, this, that. I would eat, and then I'd go over to the McDonald's and I'd purge there. And then I'd buy sundaes there and hamburgers there, and then I'd eat that. And then I'd go to the next place and purge there. I mean, it was a thing where I thought I had control, yet it ended up having control of me. And it was a way for me to purge whatever I was going through my life. So it became way more than just weight. It became it's like a mental thing, right? So that day, I threw up 15 times. And when I say that, I actually threw up blood, and that was the wake-up call. And so right then is when I was like, I need help. So I looked up eating disorder facility. I can't remember exactly because it's been so long ago. But I remember that I found a counselor, and he worked with me. And Weight Watchers was a huge thing for me. Thank God. I finally learned how to eat, what to eat.
Straight up.
Weight Watchers, I feel like they saved my life. They really did, because I didn't know what starches. I didn't know vegetables. Food was food to me, right? So I finally learned the difference and why you can't just have a bunch of donuts, or why you can't have a bunch of bread, or you can't, and expect to be thin and all. So that gave me the schooling that I needed. And then the therapist gave me what I needed mentally so that I could let go of what hold it had on me.
Okay, question. You went to the donut shop, got some donuts, purge, go to McDonald's or wherever, purge, or somewhere else, purge.
Yeah.
Are you always hungry because you're eating, you're getting satisfied, but then
you purge? When you purge,
you don't have anything because your body's not processing.
You do,
anything?
But it's even more than just hunger. That's why I say it just takes over, where it's a mental thing. You're trying to feed your body something you're missing, and then you're purging as a way to just release stress.
So it's not about hunger, it's just about the process.
No, it's about the process. So that's why I said at first it begins one way and it ends up becoming something completely different. And then it just destroys so much.
Okay, you're in college. So what are you, 20?
Yeah, so this happened pretty much, I think, around 18.
Okay.
And then I think it lasted till around 21, somewhere on there. But then even years after, I would still have, it's almost like an alcoholic who is dry, and then all of a sudden has, a relapse. So I would have a relapse. And I remember late 20s, I think it was, I was trying to be like an alcoholic to celebrate my 1 year of not, purging.
Right.
And every time it got close to that 1 year, I purged. So it's almost like I sabotaged myself. So I decided I can't count anymore. So I don't know how many years I haven't purged.
Right.
Because I stopped counting. So I don't know when that, finally flipped.
What was the key to overcoming that? What did the counselor tell you?
Yeah.
Or what did you have to come to grips with yourself? How do you make sense of that for me?
Yeah. Well, first you got to learn what you're doing to your body. When I learned why my hair is falling out, that I'm giving up my singing voice, for this, and I was like, wait, I don't want to do that, right? When I'm giving up so many things, and then the fact that my teeth, there were so many things to my body, and then that I was just so sad all the time. It was just so depressing, and that's not who I am.
But you weren't depressed before that.
No, I was going...
Did that go hand in hand with the bulimia?
No, because I think, like I told you, the only reason I started to begin with was because I didn't know how to eat, and all of a sudden I was gaining. So I was mostly depressed because I had gained weight and didn't know how to handle that. But I wasn't depressed really in my life.
But you said you maybe suffered from body dysmorphia.
Yes.
Which some people, when you say heavy, I have a hard time picturing you heavy.
Well,
So was that just, maybe not so much in pounds, but when you looked in the mirror, you saw something different than that was standing in front of the mirror?
The most I ever weighed was 138. I know, but for me, that was a lot, right?
Yeah.
So right now I'm at 124. That's my comfortable weight. I love being at this weight. But and I remember that even at WWE, I still had that body dysmorphia feeling because I was supposed to do this whole bikini contest. It was the first time ever that I was going to be doing a bikini contest, right? And I think already Viscera had serenaded me when we were doing that storyline. He had serenaded me already. Now they wanted me in this bikini contest, and I was mortified thinking of myself in the middle of the ring with body dysmorphia, men looking at my body. It was just, yeah. So I told Vince and Stephanie I couldn't do it. And Vince was like, this was right when my record was about to get released.
But did you tell him why you couldn't do it?
No.
Okay.
That's what I was going to get to. So I'm telling him I can't do it. And so he's like, why can't you do it? I was like, I just can't. Bikini contests are not my thing, kind of thing. He's like, what? I'm trying to make you a star here. Your record's about to release, and I want to, give you some TV time and in a different way and all this kind of stuff, right? And I was just like, I can't. And then I was in tears because inside I'm dying. I'm just dying because I'm already envisioning myself out there, and it's so magnified in my head that I'm just like crying. And then Stephanie's looking at me, and she's trying to console me, but they're not understanding why I'm making such a big deal about it, right?
Because they don't know.
Well, at the time, I wasn't this open. And this has come with age. This is why I tell you, I can talk about age. I can talk about, what's happening with bullying. I can talk about so many things because now I don't care and I want to help people, right? So I don't feel like I'm being judged by talking about it. But then I did. Right. And so it was so still in something in the cabinet that I didn't want to let out, that I didn't tell them why. Well, it ended up that they were cool. They didn't make me. They changed the storyline. And basically I go out there, I'm wrapped in a towel, and I walk out, and I'm about, and King is like, in the first time ever, she's in a bikini contest, and the place is going crazy. I love the fact that the fans wanted this. At least that was nice, right? And so I was first, and they start the music, and the place is going nuts. And then I'm about to unveil with the towel when Viscera's music hits. He comes down, he swoops me, and he steals me away. And I'm like, going like this, like, what happened? Well, 2 weeks later, I show up, and mini Viscera, I'm dressed up with the leather, and now he and I have started this whole relationship. So it ended up turning into a whole storyline. Right. So it was cool that, they did something different.
So how long did it take you to be completely over all of that? Or are you still there at a psychological level?
Yeah, you know what? I still psychologically, like, I don't have any desire at all to purge. Oh my God. Like, I just can't even imagine it. But I do. That's why I make sure I take care of myself. If I start gaining, like, I see that my clothes are a little tighter, or 5 pounds. 5 pounds is my limit. Like, that's it. The 1 year, it was last year actually, 2018. Yeah, I went to Thailand and I went crazy on coconuts, like crazy. Steve, I was having like 3 coconuts a day, like spooning it out. Like they were so amazing, right? But by the time I got home, I gained 10 pounds. Yeah. And of course I didn't monitor it there because I was on vacation for a month. So imagine month, every day, 3 coconuts for a month, you're going to gain weight. So yeah, I gained 10 pounds. I came home and then, man, it was so hard to put it out. So psychologically, it messed with me for a while. But luckily,
so what'd you do to get it off?
Well, Jay Frugia, Jay, he helped me so much because I literally went to him and I said, Jay, I got to know something. This is not coming off with cardio. I was doing F45 like religiously. It wasn't coming off. Like, what is going on? And then he gave me the tip of going back to lifting weights, which is something that I had kind of stayed away from for a while. When I got hit by the car, it's just like I changed my whole workout routine.
I had forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I get hit by the car, I then started doing Pilates and, yoga and stuff like that. But that's not going to cut it. And especially at my age now, it's not going to cut it. You got to do weights. So that's what I've been doing. And now I'm just so happy.
It's so interesting to hear you be so naive or not smart with respect to what you're putting in your body back in the day. Because now I'm talking to a 53-year-old Lilian Garcia. Yeah. And you're just shoveling donuts and cheeseburgers, stuff like that.
No idea.
So now what is your concept of nutrition?
Oh, now it's different. I do, I'll do beef. So I love my ribeye and I love chicken and I love fish and I'll do, all types of fish, tons of vegetables. My only starches are literally oatmeal, or I'll do potato, like a sweet potato or something like that. I don't do rice. I don't do bread. I don't No, it's changed.
Depending on what I'm doing, if I'm carb cycling, I just stay away from bread. I mean, that's a Heisman Still Farm.
Absolutely.
I'll do oatmeal, I'll do rice, but that's cycling, and I don't have a high tolerance for carbs, and I can find that out pretty quick. Mm-hmm. On a similar story to your vacation story where you gained 10 pounds from coconuts, man, back when we used to have the ranch down there in South Texas, we're drinking margaritas like
there you go.
We're down there for 2 months straight. And so, man, me and my buddy are just throwing back the margaritas, or we're going through about a 6-pack of IPAs a night. I mean, this is every night, Lil.
Yeah.
And that triple wide, I go in there and I'm to brush my teeth, whatever. I'm thinking, looking at myself in the mirror, like, dude, for doing all the stuff that you're doing, you look pretty good. And 2 months later, I get back to Los Angeles and I got some good lighting in my bathroom. I said, Jesus Christ, how did you turn into a tub of shit? And of course, my wife has got to be the first one to hear it. And I'm 54. I'll be 55 this December. And I'll go up to my wife, and it's always worse because she's the one that's got to hear about it. And I said, God dang, Kristen. I said, why didn't you tell me I was turned into a tub of shit? She goes, I just wanted you to have a good time down there. You like doing your thing and hunting and drinking and everything. So I just wanted you to have fun.
Right.
I was like, well, I'm glad. But, sometimes it's like with me, you got to knock on my head like, hello, McFly.
Right.
And like right now, I'm still on a little bit of a margarita kick, just because we filmed all of my show and now I got through promoting it. So now I'm kind of celebrating a little bit. But I got about 2 more days to celebrate and then back to the task at hand. Are you working out every single day now?
Pretty much.
But you've always looked like $1 million to me. Come on.
I appreciated that. Like I said, I know that my highest... Because of that, because of the eating disorder, I will not allow myself to go past a certain amount. Like I said, even the 10 pounds when I gained, well, you didn't see me do it at the time, I don't think. From last year, I don't know. I hide it pretty good too. I'm not gonna lie, but I just don't feel good.
What kind of advice then? Because I have some people that are near to me, that suffer from the same thing that you did.
Eating disorders?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know how to deal with them because I've never dealt with that. I don't, I can tell you how to deal with a lot of things,
Right.
but I can't. So what would you say to someone who's suffered from, let's specifically speak about bulimia?
Yeah. Do they realize they have a problem?
Yes.
Okay. Do they
And this
want
person,
help?
and maybe restricts too.
Okay. Do they want help?
Yes.
Okay. Then it's pretty easy to go online and find a chapter that's here close by, wherever they are.
And this is advice to anybody.
This is anybody. You go online, you can look up eating disorder facilities, eating disorder help, there's hotlines. You can call a hotline and start there so they can give you the best advice. But I think the number one thing is to know, I can't do this alone. You can't.
Is it that tough?
Yeah, it's taken over your mind. It's kind of like it is a drug addict or alcoholic. It's a disorder. What do you call it? Right? So you need help with someone. It's just same thing as like, look, if your marriage is in trouble, you go get help. But even if you don't feel good, you go to a doctor, right? For anything. Right. So it's sometimes you just, in this life, we need help with each other. And I think that there's strength in getting help where people feel like it's weakness. It's takes more of a person to stand up to them and say, I am out of control. I need help with this. I'm going to go seek help. And for me, it takes more of a person to do that than the one that's hiding and saying, I got this. And so I think that once you can seek help and know and get the right person to help you, and there's, like I said, there's a lot of great facilities, you'll start seeing that this is a lot easier to get through with someone's help. But you cannot continue this path. This is the main thing to know. You cannot continue an eating disorder for the rest of your life. You will die.
But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And my point in there, because I've been trying to help. Yeah, and it's like you knew you had a problem. You sought help. Yeah. But you were willing to commit.
Yes.
And because someone can tell you all this or give you all this information, but you are ultimately the one doing it. Yeah. And you relapsed a couple of times, but then now here you are done. So you have to have some willpower, right?
What is it? Your why has got to be stronger than anything.
The why.
Why do you want help? Why do you want to get over it? Why do you, right? And what does that mean to get on the other side? So I think once you can start finding out your why, then that will become more important than what you're doing. And for me, my why was so big of, I wanted to finally learn how to, because I wasn't losing weight, because this is the other thing. It will screw up your metabolism.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So here I was doing this. I was suffering the hair, the teeth, my voice, the heartburn, and yet I was not losing weight. So I was like, okay, this isn't working. You're right. So my why became, I want to finally learn how to eat healthy, how to not be hungry, right? How to have a good relationship with food, how to not have to throw up. I was spending so much money too, going around and right. So I wanted my voice back. That became strong. I wanted me. I didn't want to die. That was my why was bigger. And so I think that that's the main thing, is to present to people enough information of what they're doing harm to their body for them to see it in black and white, maybe print out like what is actually happening while you're continuing to this road. And then maybe their why will become a whole lot bigger and they'll do it.
Last question, because I want to move on to something that we're both really excited about, especially you. How did you hide that from your friends?
Oh, man. Because you know what? I didn't really have a lot of friends at the time, too. I think it just isolates you. That was another reason of my why. I wanted to have a social life. I wasn't having a social life. I couldn't go to a party without just thinking about food and thinking about, wow, I just want to gorge on that buffet and then go to some, So that was the other thing too, is that it just isolates you. And, so that's why I could hide it, because I didn't have friends. So it's sad. It's a sad disease.
But now, have you ever been out on a dinner with someone anyone that was a friend or an acquaintance, and they eat and then they disappear right after?
I have seen that. I know yes, I know the signs.
Yeah.
And I have been there. Well, I will confront them privately by themselves in a quiet place. And I'll say to them, look, I know what you're doing because I was there. Right. And
how is that received?
Sometimes it's received with, what are you talking about? Right? What are you talking about? And I said, you don't have to deny it or you don't have to accept it. This is not what I'm here to do at all. I'm here to offer help in the fact that this is what I did to get through it. And so this is what I can tell you, your advice to do it. And now it's up to you. But just know that the other side is way better than where you are now.
Right.
And that's why I want to stress that. This other side that I'm at now for years is amazing. It's great. And I would never, ever go back to those years again, ever. I think that's exactly what I was telling you even at the beginning of this. That was my 20s, right? Yeah. Struggling with that. And so I don't want to go back to that. That's why I'm so happy now.
Let's shift gears.
Yes.
Talking about happiness.
Yes.
Got to talk about your new gig. So here I was in the gym getting my swell on, and I always got a couple of TV monitors over there on the end of the gym by the cardio machines, and I got a pretty good pump going on. I look over there, some MMA on the TV, and anybody that knows me knows that I love football and MMA. I look over here, I see some blonde hair, and I just kind of that familiar jawline in your face. Yeah. Kind of go over in front of TV because I knew you were talking about, we had talked before about you doing some announcing or commentating for MMA. And I said, God dang it, that's Lilian. I was like, man, I just swelled up with pride. I was so happy for you. Now with the Professional Fighting League, PFL MMA, on Twitter at PFL MMA. Tell me about this gig and how you got it and what is that world like for you coming from the world of professional wrestling?
I know. It's crazy, right? Like, I never expected to be making this shift, but I couldn't be happier. I'm so excited. I got confronted by the Professional Fighters League, and they had told me that they were looking, they were actually, I got news that they were looking for me. And through Ryan Satin, he called me up. He's like, yeah, the Professional Fighters League is looking for you. And I was like, what are they looking for me for what? And they're looking for a new announcer and they want to see if you're interested. And I was like, what? He goes, I think you should do it. I just think you should try. I think you should do it. So I was like, all right, give him my information. So he gave them my information and then we connected. And as soon as I went to the offices, so they have an office here in California and it's at Sherman Oaks. And as soon as I walked in and I met with George Greenberg, who is the man, he's like our Kevin Dunn, right? The producer of the whole show. I met James. Both of them were so nice and just talking me through what this PFL structure is. And I'll just give you I know you probably know, but for anybody out there, what's so exciting about it, they took the format of football, right? They took the format of basketball in the fact that they have a regular season, they have the playoffs, and they have the championship. So this is their second year that they've done it. And they did so well in the first year that ESPN immediately was like, we're going to have you. So it's on ESPN. We did already 6 events for the regular season, and now we're getting ready to go to the playoffs. And now the playoffs, see, this is crazy. This is where it gets incredible because nobody else in MMA is doing this. First of all, they're not doing the regular season, playoffs, and championship, right? But in the playoffs, you've got the quarterfinals and the semifinals. The guys are going to fight twice in one night. That's incredible. I know the first time that we said that to you, you were like blown away by that.
Yeah, because we were talking about that at the Raw Reunion.
Yeah.
And to go out, and back in the day when we were in WCW, I mean, sometimes we were filming so many TVs in advance, you'd work 4 or 5 times a night. Even with WWE, I mean, the most you would work, and in King of the Ring style, 2, maybe 3, but it's a little bit different thing. I mean, because in and of itself, I mean, being in the squared circle in professional wrestling is tough. Whole different level when you're fighting for a shoot,
right?
A couple times a night, because I mean, you better have a hell of a gas tank, and obviously, I mean, these guys are highly skilled. So yeah, that is a whole different spectrum and twist.
Yeah. So it's going to be where in the quarterfinals they fight 2 rounds, and then whoever gets in, moves on, and then fights in the semifinals. And then the women, there's one division for the women, the 155-pound. They're only going to fight one time in the playoffs. But that's because there's not as many women as there are in the men. Right. But it's pretty cool that they've even entered this division because it's the first time ever.
Now, tell me about the personalities, because you're coming from, the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Gigantic personalities, egos, characters, and great athletes. Now you go into this world where probably some big personalities, but I mean extreme human beings, because I always say people are wired a little different, man. Fighters, and I respect them so much, that's why I'm such a fan, wired very differently. So what's the feeling, or even at an event when you're doing your thing, what's the difference in the feel of the whole thing?
Right. That's what blew me away. So I didn't know what to expect, right? Because been WWE for so many years. We know how we are backstage and all of that. But I was like, man, are these guys? Because I even told George Greenberg, I was like, I really want to interview some of these for Chasing Glory. But I was even thinking, well, how are they? Like, are they even going to open up? Are they just like,
caveman?
You're right? Yeah. I didn't know. So I literally was saying the same thing. Like, how is it going to be back there? It couldn't have been like almost exactly the same as WWE.
Really?
So nice, so humble, so like, hi, my name is such a, very, very just gracious to be there, and just, I'm blown away. I'm like, how can you just snap at one point, like be that to then want to punch the daylights out of you? Yeah. But I think they really, the more I watch it from cage side, and I love the fact that I had the best seat in the house at WWE, right? I could see everything so close. Here I am at cage side now. I have the best seat of the house in MMA. Every week I'm watching it. It really is a sport. They're not in there just I want to kill you. They're in there doing like certain moves and grabbing. It's blowing my mind.
It's brutality, but it's an art form. That's why it's mixed martial arts.
Right.
And those guys, I was watching pay-per-view this past weekend, and between right at the start of the round, the guys were just touching gloves, and then, hey man, it's everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
But it's respect, and it's these two guys that have trained to fight, and they love to fight. So here they are. Yeah. But it's nothing more than that.
No, it's more like no. It's
to
not
minimize it.
No, but it's true.
That's how professional they are.
It's not about I just want to hurt you.
Right.
It's literally about, I want to see if I can get this kick up here while I do this. And it's
putting a game plan together. It's just like a football.
Yes.
Making a game plan for a football game.
Right.
You're making a game plan for a fight. Sometimes you got to make mid-fight adjustments.
Right.
And they do, or they don't.
Yeah.
So, but the guys are cool.
They're cool. And the girls, everybody.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch the fights. And I know I have an invite to go to see PFL.
Yes, you do.
I got to see what my dates are like.
I'm hoping you
I'm
can.
Doing a bunch of stuff, but
that would be amazing.
When I've got the fights going on at the house, Kristen will watch casually. Now I'm all in. I can get everything, but then all of a sudden, when someone really starts bleeding. But then when someone starts really bleeding, she just can't watch.
Yeah.
Okay, because someone every now and then will turn into a bloodbath. Someone gets an elbow or something with a cut. I didn't know that. Were you a fight fan before? And sitting that close, how is that when those guys are just really tearing into each other? How does that wear on you?
Yeah. So before this, I was literally more WWE, more wrestling, for sure, for many years. I knew who Conor McGregor was. Yeah. I knew some of the big guys. I knew who Randy Couture was, I knew some, but I didn't sit there in order, and watch it. If it was on, when Brock Lesnar, of course, want to support him, watched it, and I liked it. I did like it. I didn't understand it that much, though. That was the thing. And especially when they go down to the ground and they're there forever. And I'm like, oh, this is a little boring, right? Yeah. But cage side, whoa. And the other day, oh my God, we had Mama's Boy as his nickname, and he was getting pummeled. And one of the guys that works with me, Will, was sitting next to me on my left. And the whole time I was like holding my hand in front of my eyes. I'm like, I can't. Like, I don't know why I can't just with open eyes, just watch somebody getting completely just, his face bashed in. Yeah. It's hard. But I appreciate, look, he got up at the end and he shook the guy's hand. And then taped something after that for social media with him. And he was like, man, I just want to thank, I can't remember who he went against, but he's like, I just want to thank him because he took me the rounds. Like no one's hit me this hard. And it kind of woke me up and I needed that. And I needed to know that somebody was tough, that he could do that. I was like, whoa, respect. Okay. It's a little easier for me now to watch it because of the way that I saw that he received it.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because those guys, when in a closely matched fight or just respect level, and those guys want to be tested, and it's like, hey, man, I need to work on this.
Yeah,
I need to do this next time.
Right.
So because they just want to just keep improving, and it's funny because fight fans sometimes two guys or two gals will be on the ground. And just because of what it is, I mean, or their fight styles will cancel each other out, but they might be down on the mat, and the fans will start booing, and I'm like, man, what are you booing for?
Yeah.
This is highly technical here,
yeah.
And so it's a scramble, it's a dogfight. I mean, it's MMA,
right?
But they'll start booing. I'm like, man, they're almost as bad as pro wrestling fans.
I know,
and I mean that with respect and in a good way. But fans can be hard.
I know, but I get it because, like I said, when I watched a little bit and they would get down on the ground and they didn't look like they were doing much, I was even saying, "Well, this is boring." So that's the boo. The boo is this is boring, and you even see the referee going, "All right, up."
Yeah, well, yeah. At some point, it's time to stand it up.
It's time to
when they're
stand it
actually doing something that is strategic and there's action, so that warrants staying on the ground.
Yeah.
But yes, when it turns into the snooze fest,
right.
that's when it's time for the refs to stand them up. You've got PFL, podcast.
Yes,
What else?
I'm working on my album. So Josiah Williams.
And I just saw you on your Instagram, and you were singing your ass off. I guess is when you was making the Your Girl video.
Oh yeah,
maybe it was a flashback.
Yeah, flashback.
But man, you was up there rocking on stage, and God dang, and you sounded like $1 million.
Thank
were you singing live, or was that?
No, I was singing live.
Oh wow!
Yeah, thank you.
So what's the album consist of?
Yeah, I have to keep singing in my life. I just have to.
Love it.
I just did the national anthem for PFL, and it was exciting. And by the way, I don't want to forget to say that they're fighting so hard because they're all fighting for $1 million in each division. There's $6 million that are going to be given away on New Year's Eve. So it's pretty exciting.
I only got one question to ask you.
Yeah.
Where'd I sign up?
I know, right? Right? That's why these fights are so incredible, too, because they're like going for $1 million. So you don't see a lot of on the ground. You don't see a lot of that. They want points. They want quick points. They want stoppages. It's exciting.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it in the judge's hands.
Exactly. And you get extra points for stoppages. So that's why. But anyway, I'm working on a new album, and so Josiah Williams, he's now working at NXT. He and I did a song together called Now, which everybody can get it now. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, all of that, wherever you get your music, it's available. So he and I did that together, and we performed it live on stage at Powerful You in April. And all of a sudden, we were like, "Whoa, this was fun." Whoa, it's like, we've got something here. So we decided to go ahead and proceed with doing an EP. And every time we keep adding songs, I'm like, I think it's going to be an album by the end of the whole project. But we're doing it together. We're so excited. Each song is kind of like the Chasing Glory thing, right? It's because he's more of an inspirational guy too. And so each song has a message. Each song is going to take you through a ride. And like Now is all about taking action now. Like, quit waiting.
Right.
Your life is just going by, and some people are waiting. They're going, tomorrow. Yeah, okay, no.
100%.
Forget tomorrow. It's all about
Do it
now. Now. So each song is going to have a different message. And it's been very exciting to work on. And then I've also been doing more speaking gigs. And I love it. I didn't realize. So it's funny because I'm speaking about what happened to me, and we talked about this the very first time when I was on your podcast. You didn't even know this, that when I was hired, that my very first day on the job, I found out that day at 3:30 that I was going to be ring announcing that night and replacing Howard Finkel, right? Yeah. The legend. And I didn't know how do you prep for that? Right? And 20 minutes before going live, how I find out that, by the way, no cue cards. So how the whole, like one of the speeches, right? Cause I do different ones, but one of them is about how you don't have to be 100% ready to seize an opportunity. I think a lot of people, right?
Say that again.
You don't have to be 100% ready to seize an opportunity. And I think a lot of people think they have to be 100% ready before they go for it.
Right.
Or if they get an opportunity offered to them, they go, well, no, forget it. I'm not ready for that. No, pass it on to the next person. Nope. My whole speech is how you can still seize that opportunity. And look at me. I ended up really creating a career out of it with announcing and now with PFL. Like, it's 20 years of me announcing. It's incredible.
That's interesting.
I've never thought that.
Man, just in you saying that, and your speech is way more powerful. Or it's like all of a sudden I showed up down in WCW many years ago in the early 90s, and Dusty Rhodes tells me, I think it was Dusty, he was booking at the time, he goes, hey man, he goes, you're going to win the TV title, world television title from Bobby Eaton. And I'm like, I was an okay mechanic at the time, but Bobby Eaton to me, I hold him in high regards. I love that guy's work, and he's a sweetheart. And it's like, I'm beating Bobby. I can't lace his boots.
Wow.
You know, but what do you,
so
what do you
immediately
do?
you thought, I'm not ready.
No, I wasn't ready. And to defend that title after getting it from that guy, no, I wasn't ready for it. But I took the opportunity.
You did.
But the way you're that's a piss poor analogy. But
no, it's true.
But you're talking about acting upon things or being or
look. Even when I started,
being afraid to accept something.
You have to accept it, and then you can fumble through it.
Yeah.
Okay. I fumbled through it.
Yeah. Take the opportunity.
I don't want to say the F word. I messed up so much, Steve. I messed up so much. It was a learning on the job, and nobody knew. There was no NXT. I wasn't prepped, right? I messed up so much trying to learn that job on live TV during the Attitude Era. Well, we were in millions of households. It's, but I fumbled through it and then turned it into something, right?
But you know what? As many times as you effed up, you look good doing it. You sounded good doing it.
Thank you.
So if you're going to F it up, do it in spectacular fashion.
That's right.
Hey, man, that's sink or swim. You ended up swimming.
You got it.
A couple times maybe you need a life buoy thrown to you, but you did all right for yourself, kid.
Yeah, and I'm grateful that WWE allowed me to learn on the job as well and stayed with me too. And they saw that I went home, I studied, I was really trying.
Well, I mean, shit, out of all the things, well, you and me have known each other forever, but it's not just rare that we just get a chance to sit around and talk. I've never heard anybody complain about your work ethic, ever. No, you work your ass off. Okay, PFL, podcast, what do you got coming up? What do you want to plug? Where can people find Chasing Glory?
So Chasing Glory, for sure, is available wherever you get your downloads, including the Chasing Glory app that we have. And now we just went to video. So taking it to another whole level after the 100th episode, it was kind of like, all right, not really ready for it, but I'm going to do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, practice what you preach.
You got it. And sometimes it literally is a camera in a hotel room. The lighting is horrible, but yet we are doing it. And I just have to do it. And it doesn't have to look pretty and packaged and whatever. So it is available on youtube.com/Lilian Garcia. Just remember to spell Lilian with one L in the middle. And so you can catch it on there if you want to actually see the guests. And then, my gosh, at Chasing Glory Podcast on Instagram, me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, at Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. And just doing everything I could possibly do, seizing life now. Seizing life now. That's what it's all about.
You're one of the coolest chicks I know.
Always we forgot to talk about the beer. That was cool.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, we'll wrap up. Hey, I've got to have a big finish. So anyway, all of a sudden I go to Raw, and I just know, Vince told me, he goes, you're probably going to close the show, maybe Hogan will say something, then you come out and then do a beer bash. And so I'm thinking, okay. And then I said, hey, man, I can't just be out there drinking. This is between me and Vince. I said, I can't just be out there drinking beer by myself. I said, I feel bad about the guys and the girls standing around the ring because they're going to have their thumbs up their ass. If they're just looking at me guzzling beer.
Right.
I said, we got to have beer for everybody. So they sent all the guys out to go buy some beer. And then they kayfabed the labels because I was drinking my beer, Broken Skull IPA. Yeah. I brought a case of it down from L.A. And so everybody else had the gimmick beers, but it was still beer.
Yeah.
And so there I am, I'm walking around, and, they'd written me 2 paragraphs, and I'm like, hey, I ain't memorizing that. And also, this was, when they told me to close that show, Lillian, that wasn't a Stone Cold promo. That was more of a Steve Austin type promo, and it was a shoot. Like when I talked to Jonathan Coachman.
Yeah.
We were going out there, and I said, shit, Coach. I said, I don't even know what I'm going to say. And he goes, oh, Steve, just be you. He goes, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Pritchard kind of comes up to me. I said, hey, man, this is what they wanted me to say. I said, I don't like this. He goes, nah, this ain't Stone Cold. Mm-hmm. He goes, he looks around, then gets some air. He goes, don't worry, it's live TV. Just don't F it up, and Vince will be happy with it.
That's great. No pressure.
And then Paul Heyman is sitting right out there. He gives me the look and like, go knock him dead, kid. And so the whole time I was out there testing, the audience. But we had went out there the day, a little bit before because we kind of do positioning before the doors opened. And someone sought me out and told me something. And that was you.
Oh, yeah. I said, because I remember back there, I had this dress on, right? The black dress and the black heels. You were like, you look so pretty. And then I was like, I appreciate that. And don't worry, if you want to go with the beard, let's do it. I don't care about the dress. I don't care about the shoes. So please don't let that hold you and stop you back. And you were like, it's on.
I know, but I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And I was like,
heck yeah.
And then all of a sudden it starts happening. And so, man, when everything starts happening, I'm like this open channel. And so sometimes, I might be looking this direction, but I mean, I'm like in a wide angle.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'm laser focused on somebody, but it's pure instincts.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I was thinking, I saw you, and as soon as I saw you out of the corner of my eye, I said, there's Lilian. We're doing it. And so we got center ring, and the people were cool enough. They didn't know what we had going on.
No.
And then they gave us enough space so we could do our thing, and I just poured those beers on you. And it was like, you just smelled like one giant IPA.
It was so good, by the way.
Oh, my God.
Your beer is so good. I was like, why was this beer not back in the Attitude Era when we were doing this night after night after night? You had me guzzling that horrible beer, and you were holding out on me.
Man, I brought that beer from California. This isn't a plug. We're trying to go home here, but here's a story.
That's really good beer.
Every morning when I got up, I had this little cheap cooler that I brought with wheels on it. Every morning, I'd pour out the water, put new ice on it. Before I went to sleep, pour out the water, put new ice on it. So that beer had been chilled. I'd been down there for about 4 days before Raw started. And by the time we got out there, that damn beer was the coldest beer I'd ever drank. And to be over, not from just a satisfaction of just being able to have my beer that I helped concoct the flavor of with Rob Croxall from El Segundo Brewing Company. It tasted so effing good. And then by the time we were through and I dumped all that beer on you, I got back to the hotel and
you didn't have any left?
All they had was light beer that tastes like dog shit compared to the stuff that I just drank. I said, man, you just ribbed yourself. You should have stayed for the hotel.
Oh, man.
But you were so cool, and I was like, God dang! I said, this is a good opportunity.
Yeah, it was.
I've always loved pouring beer on you.
It was the good old days. People popped so big. You know what's crazy? And I don't know why it didn't make it on TV because we went off the air before it happened. And then when they put the what happened Raw after, they cut that part out. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but. We got more views on you and I and our channels because you couldn't find it anywhere. All of a sudden, people were like, "Wait, what about they were hearing all about it?" And
How did you? Who was filming on your camera phone when we came back? Because you gave me a hug. We hugged each other.
Yes, and then I showed you, right? So it was a guy that actually, as I was walking out of the arena, I think he was friends with Josiah, and I was walking with Josiah, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, check it out. Look like what I got." He got all of these photos and all of this, and I was like, "Oh, I need that right now." So he airdropped it to me immediately.
Oh, okay.
And then I put that little video together.
I'm like, man, how Lily got all these kayfabe cameras everywhere, man? This is good footage.
And then some other people were posting it and on DMing it or Insta storying it. Thank God for that in a way. They're fans, they're capturing it.
That music that you put behind it was a perfect song from Jesus Christ. What's the name of that band?
Oh yeah, the Black Eyed Peas.
No, it wasn't Black Eyed Peas. I Shazammed them. It's
I can't think of which
Party
one.
All Night. It's
Oh yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Well, I can't think of it now, but
I can't
but just go back and watch one of us has it.
Okay, we got to go home because I got to pack. Lillian's going. Well, she will already have been to Chicago and back by the time this podcast drops, so we won't promote that.
Right.
Lillian, it's always wonderful seeing you.
Too.
Thank you for coming over.
Thank you.
And I'll catch you down the road.
All right.
All right, let's hear it for our friends at TrueCar for supporting the podcast from day one. TrueCar knows that every car comes with its share of stories. That ding in your bumper from when you attempted to park somewhere in Los Angeles, or the gas you saved by taking the bus all summer. While you can't put a price tag on your stories, now with TrueCar, you can at least find out what your car is worth when it comes time to sell or trade it in. Just go to TrueCar. Simply enter your license plate number and watch as your car's details pop up. Then, just answer a few questions. Navigation, moonroof, power windows. This way you'll know how much of a hit it's going to be so you can plan ahead. Once you're finished, you'll get a true cash offer sent in minutes, which you can take to a local certified dealer to cash out or trade in. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. True cash offer not available in all areas. And hey, man, you're going to need some car insurance for that vehicle. Go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today. All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. Before I do that, I want to thank my special guest, host of her own podcast, Chasing Glory, on all major podcast platforms, Lilian Garcia. Lilian covers all kinds of topics. She talks to a lot of people from the sports entertainment world, professional wrestling world, but as she said, she's looking everywhere to talk to people from all walks of life to find out what made them successful or what makes them tick or the issues at hand, the topic at hand. And the thing I love about Lilian is she's so personable and so charismatic, and she creates this chemistry with her guests, and she does so much homework. It's an awesome podcast, so check that podcast out. It's called Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia. Hey, man, if you guys saw Straight Up Steve Austin last night on the USA Network, 11/10 Central, I appreciate you watching. If you set your DVRs, I appreciate you setting your DVRs. We've got a few more episodes of the show. I had an absolute blast going to the city of Cleveland, which was once a stronghold for me. Cleveland, everybody there at the Gun Arena, they were hardcore Stone Cold supporters, and I appreciate all the support. It was wonderful to go out there and hang out with a class act. Man, this kid's a gamer. I really, really liked hanging out with Baker Mayfield. I got a chance to meet Freddie Kitchens. I got a chance to meet Myles Garrett. A lot of the other players there in the locker room, there in the training facility. Appreciate the hospitality. Had a blast hanging out with Baker. My guest next week on Straight Up Steve Austin is none other than WWE superstar, the man, Becky Lynch. And I believe she is the Raw Women's Champion. So that was an awesome time. I got a chance to spend all day with Becky Lynch because that's how long it takes to film this show. Got a chance to, that's the longest I've ever spent around her. And she is a class act and just a really, really cool young lady. So you're not going to want to miss that episode, period. Specifically if you're a WWE fan. Check it out. Once again, I will be making my return to Madison Square Garden September 9th, 2019, 2 weeks from now. I'm looking forward to getting back to Manhattan, New York City, the Garden. Who would have ever figured 20 years later I would be hitting 4 turnbuckles, holding those fists up after we go off air, the middle fingers, and that's the bottom line because I said so. Hey, man, don't forget to rate and review the Steve Austin Show on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends to check us out. Make sure you set your DVRs for Straight Up Steve Austin every Monday night after Raw. If you want to reach me here on the podcast, send an email to questions@steveaustinshow.com. I got a badass beer. It's called Broken Skull IPA. It's in demand everywhere. We're trying to up production from El Segundo Brewing Company. You can get Broken Skull IPA at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in California. If you're not in California, you might be SOL. But stay tuned. And if you're looking to get a badass knife, I got 2 for you. Cold Steel Broken Skull, Cold Steel Working Man. Get them at my Amazon store. Amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin, or go directly to coldsteelknives.com. I want to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, especially TrueCar, Geico, Trojan, BioWave, BetOnline.ag, and the NHTSA. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. If you need more info on my sponsors, check out the show description to this episode for details. Folks, if you see me in the woods or in the mountains, I'll be proudly riding a Kawasaki. And last but not least, don't forget, folks, we got some badass new T-shirts, King of Attitude. That's right, King of Attitude. Now available at ProWrestlingTees.com, and that's the bottom line. Until next time, My name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.